All right, everybody, get ready, because today we are taking a deep dive into the Pi network.
Oh, yeah, this one's going to be interesting.
We've gotten a ton of requests from listeners to dig into Pi.
Yeah, seems like everyone's mining on their phones these days.
Exactly, and everyone wants to know if these Pi coins are going to make them rich once the open mainnet finally launches. We've got a mountain of YouTube videos and notes from actual experts to go through, so no more speculation. Let's get down to it.
It's time to separate the hype from reality.
You got it. So to kick things off, what's really grabbed your attention from all this Pi talk?
Honestly, it's this whole enclosed mainnet thing. You know, it's kind of like, oh, you're invited to this awesome party, but
You can't dance.
yeah, or leave. You're stuck there.
Okay, so for those of us who don't speak fluent crypto, what does that actually mean for our Pi coins? Like, can we use them?
So basically, Pi's in this holding pattern for now. No trading it on the big exchanges. You can really only use it within the Pi ecosystem itself.
So it's kind of like being given a gift card that can only be used at one store.
Exactly. And that's causing some serious buzz in the community.
Speaking of buzz, one of the YouTube videos mentioned this whole unclaimed Pi situation, which, to be honest, kind of freaked me out. It's like some of the Pi you've mined could just vanish if your referrals don't get their KYC done by the deadline.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Like those loyalty points that expire if you don't use them.
It's definitely a power move by the Pi network to get everyone verified. They're laser focused on having a ton of active verified users, which makes sense, I guess.
So they're like, get on board or get out of the way.
Pretty much. And all that unclaimed Pi, it doesn't disappear into thin air. It actually goes back into the pool for others to mine.
Interesting. So there's a constant cycle of mining and verifying happening. You know, one thing that really stuck out to me from the videos and stuff was this idea that a lot of users are more caught up in this whole dream of getting rich quick than they are in actually understanding how Pi works or even what its long-term potential might be.
I've noticed that too.
It's like they're all hoping to win the lottery, but they don't want to buy a ticket or even like know what the lottery is.
It's all about the payout, not the process, right?
All right.
And that mass exodus mentality where everyone just wants to cash out the second the open mainnet launches,
Yeah.
that could be a huge problem. It could tank the value of Pi before it even has a chance to get going.
It's like a stampede for the exits, everyone rushing to sell at once.
Exactly. So it's crucial to be strategic about this, not just driven by hype.
So how do we avoid getting swept up in all the hype and make smart decisions about Pi? A few of the sources gave some really solid advice on navigating the Pi network, even with all the uncertainty, and they laid it out like a roadmap, calling it the 5 steps to maximize profits.
Ooh, I like that. A roadmap. Makes it feel actionable.
Right. So, are you ready to explore this roadmap?
Let's hit the road. What's step 1?
Step 1 is all about getting educated. It's like this. Before you even think about Pi making you rich, you got to learn the rules of the game.
Because you can't win if you don't know how to play.
Exactly. This step is about becoming a crypto pro. Not just understanding Pi, but understanding how this whole crypto world works.
A whole crypto chessboard.
Yes.
You got to know how each piece moves to play the game. What's next is like blockchain technology, trading strategies, security, all that stuff. Because Pi's not in its own little world, right?
Right. It's part of this much bigger picture, and you got to know how it fits in. Okay, step 2 is all about using this enclosed mainnet time as kind of like a practice run.
Yeah, test the waters before you jump in.
Exactly, because we don't want to belly flock into this thing.
For sure.
So step 2 is like, here's a safe space to get some experience before the open mainnet.
Exactly, and learn the ropes.
Okay, step 3 is where we put on our detective hats and get down to business.
Ooh, I like this one.
Right. We're going beyond the hype. Like, is Pi actually going to be useful? We got to compare it to other successful crypto projects. Like, what are they doing right? Does Pi measure up?
Exactly. Do your homework.
Yeah.
Don't just trust the hype. Actually look at what Pi is all about.
And for step 4, get ready for it. Diversify. It's a classic rule, right?
Golden rule of investing, no matter what you're investing in.
Exactly. Never put all your eggs in one basket, especially with something as unpredictable as crypto.
You spread that risk.
Exactly. And finally, step 5 is all about patience.
Patience is key.
Yeah, we got to have that long-term vision, right?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, so we've got our roadmap. We're feeling prepared. But there's another side to this whole Pi thing that we have to address, like the possibility of getting your account banned. One of the YouTube videos actually showed some scary examples of people getting banned for like 100 years.
100 years? That's like longer than most people live.
I know, right? It's intense.
That's wild. So what can people do to avoid getting banned?
Well, it seems like the key is to follow the rules, be patient, and wait for the open mainnet before trying to do anything shady with your Pi. It's a good reminder that even though we're in this kind of Wild West world of crypto,
yeah, there are still rules.
right, there are consequences for our actions. So yeah, this whole 100-year ban thing really highlights how important it is to just be smart and be patient.
For sure. Don't jump the gun.
Exactly. So we talked about the enclosed mainnet, but how long can it really last?
It's true. They can't keep it under wraps forever, can they?
It's like a pressure cooker. At some point, that pressure has to be released, right?
Totally. So what's the strategy there? What are they waiting for?
Well, it seems like the Pi network is super focused on making sure everything is perfect. They want to fine-tune the tech, work out all the kinks, and make sure there's a solid ecosystem in place before they open the floodgates.
They want it to be ready for prime time.
Exactly. They're playing the long game here. So while we're all waiting with bated breath for this open mainnet launch, this enclosed mainnet period is crucial for the Pi network to really build a solid foundation.
It's like building a house. You want to make sure that foundation is rock solid.
Exactly. You can't just build a house on sand, right?
Definitely not.
So while we wait, what can we do? What can we do to make sure that we're ready for whatever comes next?
Well, I think it's a great time to revisit those 5 steps. They're not just about, making a quick buck. They're about being responsible.
Yeah, it's about becoming a part of this whole thing.
Exactly. And making smart decisions.
Okay, so circling back to those unclaimed Pi balances.
Yeah.
It still feels kind of harsh that someone could lose their Pi just because their referral didn't finish their KYC, right?
Right.
Doesn't seem quite fair.
Yeah, it seems like there should be some wiggle room.
I know. What do you think?
Well, I see what the Pi network is doing here. They want people to be active. They want a strong community. It's like they're saying, hey, we're all in this together.
So it's not enough to just download the app and mine Pi on your phone.
Yeah.
You actually have to participate.
Yeah, you got to put in the work.
You got to put in the effort to build this community. It's interesting, right?
It is. It's a different approach.
Speaking of different, let's talk price.
Yeah.
The million-dollar question: will those Pi coins in our digital wallets actually be worth anything once the open mainnet launches? What do you think?
That's the question on everyone's mind, right? But honestly, no one knows.
It's like trying to predict the future.
Exactly. There are just too many factors at play. Supply and demand, market sentiment, what other cryptos are doing.
Government regulations, the whole shebang.
We can't predict the future. But we can look at trends, analyze the data.
We can look for clues.
Exactly. Do our research.
So it's like trying to solve a mystery. We have to gather all the evidence before we can come to a conclusion.
And even then, we might not have the full picture.
Right. It's a lot to take in. And honestly, it can be overwhelming. There's so much noise out there, so many opinions.
Everyone's a crypto expert these days, right?
I know. It's like, okay, that's great, but I just want to know what to do with my Pi.
Right. Cut through the noise.
Yeah. So how do we cut through the noise and make smart decisions about our Pi?
I think it all comes back to education and taking a long-term perspective. Remember those 5 steps? They're a great place to start.
Understand the basics, do your research, diversify.
Manage your expectations.
Be patient.
Exactly. It's about the long game, not getting rich quick.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, almost never happens.
Right. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So we're playing the long game with Pi, but what does the future hold for the Pi network? I mean, where do you see this whole thing going?
That's a great question. Let's dive into that. It really feels like we're all waiting to see if Pi is the future of currency or just another fad.
Right. We'll go to the moon or crash and burn. So what are some things that the Pi network could do to really solidify its place, to become a major player in the crypto world?
Well, we've talked about this in closed mainnet, right? Like keeping it all
On our wraps.
Yeah, exactly. But eventually they're going to have to open things up, and that transition is going to be critical.
That's their make or break moment.
Exactly. They have to prove that Pi is something special, that it's not just another copycat coin.
It's like a restaurant opening its doors for the first time.
Right. The food better be good or no one's coming back for seconds. So what's their secret sauce?
What makes Pi unique?
Exactly. Is it the apps being built on their blockchain? Is it strategic partnerships with big companies? They've got to have something that makes them stand out.
They need a wow factor.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the community. They've got this huge, passionate community, which is amazing. But can they keep them engaged? Can they turn that enthusiasm into something sustainable?
It's like anyone can throw a party, But building a community takes time and effort.
Exactly. And the Pi network has to find a way to do both keep the party going while building something that lasts.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yes. And that's what's so fascinating about this whole thing. There are so many possibilities, but also so many unknowns. It's exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking at the same time.
Definitely keeps things interesting. So where does all this leave our listeners?
Right. We've thrown a lot of information at you today.
We've gone down the rabbit hole of the Pi network. Hopefully you're not feeling too overwhelmed. But seriously, we hope you're feeling more informed, more empowered to make your own decisions about Pi.
Because at the end of the day, it's your Pi. It's your money. You have to decide what's right for you.
And remember those 5 steps we talked about. Those are your tools, your roadmap. Use them. And don't be afraid to ask questions, do your research, and stay curious.
The crypto world is constantly changing, and so is the Pi network. So stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay curious. Who knows what the future holds?
Maybe we'll all be using Pi to buy our coffee someday. Or
maybe we'll look back and laugh at this whole thing. Either way, it's a wild ride, and we're glad you're here with us.
That's right. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Pi network. Until next time, keep mining, keep learning, and keep exploring.